Hello, Dr. Ron England here, and this is a lecture on functions and scope. So one of the things you're going to be doing a lot of if you're doing good Python is writing functions. So I'm going to actually start a little bit down here. I'm going to say def a function, spell it right, and I'm going to pass the function to, I'm going to have it so that it is passed two variables. And actually, print AB is really all I want to do, and then I want to return. I'm not going to return anything, and that's it. Now, if I run this, nothing happens. That function has actually been put into memory, but nothing actually is output or anything like that. It doesn't really do anything. So now I'm going to do something I'm going to do something else here. I'm going to set a variable x equals 10 here. Whoops, 10, that's not 10, 10. And I'm going to, down here, after I define x as 10, I'm going to call a function. And this is how you do it. You call a function. It's defined. I can call it, and I'm going to call it with x and x. Now, I passed a 10. X is 10. I passed a 10, which is x is 10. I passed a 10 as a, and I pass it as b. I could have just as easily said a function 10, 10, and I could have passed the 10 as the a and the b, and it would have printed out a and b. I'm going to take this one out for right now. Note that, what do you get down here? 10 and 10. But if I pass the x to it twice, and I've defined the x as 10 up here, I still get the 10 and the 10 as an output. Now watch what I do. I don't need to add all this other stuff. I'm going to add x equals 20. I'm going to do a print x. Now, watch what happens here. X is defined as 10 right up here. I passed the value of x into the function in this function call. This is a function call. I'll put a note here. Function call. This is a function definition. It defines what the function is going to do. It's actually got the name def, a function. And this in here is the function contents. This x inside the function is a different x than this x outside the function. But when I pass the x to the function, it's passed into the function as a parameter a, so it has the value of x passed to it as an a inside the function, and then the second x is passed to it as parameter b, but it's passing over the value. This is crucial to your understanding of how functions work. Now, there's a name for this. It's called scope. This x has global scope. In other words, it lives outside the functions, but it also lives inside the functions. If I take this internal definition out, see where I did the local scope x, and I take that out and I run this, the 10 that you define as the x outside the function is accessible inside the function. However, if I do an x equals 20 inside the function, the locally scoped version of x overrides the globally scoped version of x. So now the output is the 20, the 10, and the 10. Whereas if I took that x equals 20 out, I would get 10 and 10 and 10. Okay? Now, key points. This is a function. This defines the name of the function. That A function is the name of this function. A and B are parameters. I did not define the types of A and B. The reason you see parameter A colon any is because A can be anything. You can pass anything to that function. A number, a string, another function, an object, anything can be passed over. Now, it doesn't mean you can print it down here. Then when I create this X inside here, I created a locally scoped function. And when I define that function, define that X, note that when I hover over it, it says int colon X. X in this case is an integer. I never defined it as an integer, but when I set it to the value 20, it automatically got defined as an integer. I then print that X, which is what you see down there, that 20, and then I print the A and B. And when I call a function down here, the A and the B, the 10, value 10, that was the globally scoped value of X, gets passed to the function, and the A and the B get printed out, those two 10s, and then I return. This function does not return anything. I could have it return something. I could have it return A plus B. And this would get really interesting because now watch what I can do. I can print a function of X because it returns A plus B. It's going to return, in this case, the X is 10. It's going to return 20. And note that now I get the 20, the first print X. I get the A and the B print. And now I'm printing what got returned back from the call to the function. Well, I said the function is going to return A plus B, and I passed it 10 and 10. And so this print a function X and X prints back the 20 that I passed over to it. Now, that may seem like a whole lot, but this is all great fundamental stuff that you're doing. Terminology. Globally scoped variable. Defined function. Locally scoped variable. See where I've got the cursor? So define the function. The parameters passed to the function. The return value of the function. And then this is the function call. But because the function returns something, whatever it returns can actually be used as parameters in other function calls. And by the way, print is a function call to a built-in function called print. Wow. Yes. Do you need to understand everything I just said? Absolutely. You need to play with this until you implicitly understand it. It is fundamental to computer programming, understanding how these things work. Okay? And if you have problems and you're in my class, ask me. I will help. That's it. Thanks.